Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. I'm Zemore, the Grim Daddy himself, and today we are doing something a little different in this video. Now, if you looked at the title and the thumbnail, you'll see it's formatted as if I am directly messaging Behaviour and the devs of Dead by Daylight. Now, I'm not arrogant enough to assume they'll even see this or pay attention to a nobody like myself, but I want to get these thoughts out here, and if we get enough people that like, comment, subscribe, share this video and get the word out there, then maybe they will decide to change the way they are doing things. Now, what do I mean in regards to that? Well, I'll get into that in a little moment. But essentially, I want to talk about what's coming up in Dead by Daylight first. Now, as you can see on the screen behind me, we have upcoming live changes that range from killer updates, perk updates, to minor changes such as changing the stats effect Mangled, FOV slider solution for free gens, blood web improvements, that kind of thing. The main thing I want to focus on, however, is the changes to killers and to a lesser extent perks. Now, when it comes to changing anything in game, I heavily embrace things being changed for the sake of balance and updating the game and bringing different things to the forefront of usage. So when it comes to new updates and things like that, new perks come in, new killers come in, and inherently you're going to get some overpowered combinations on both killer and survivor side that need to be adjusted to reflect how the game works currently and how the mechanics have changed since those perks originally were introduced, or if the perk that has been introduced is just too strong in the current meta. And as a result, something that they've done in the recent update has reflected what I hope to not see in these upcoming updates. And that would specifically be the changes made to Trickster. Now, if you don't know what's happened to Trickster recently because you don't play him, well, essentially what they've done on the PTB, they buffed his speed, his terror radius got an increase, he lost all recoil, his throwing speed became faster, they reduced the amount of knives he needed to get main event, as well as a bunch of other changed plan changes rather on the PTB. And what ended up happening on the PTB is he turned into an absolute oppressive monster. And there was lots of YouTube videos and lots of things about how insane he was. He was getting main event constantly and just throwing knives and completely destroying everybody. And the general gist of what Behaviour wanted for Trickster was to make him into like a machine gun of knives and make him fun to play, but also not too difficult to play, as well as make him rewarding and fun for survivors to play against and loop and get away from. What ended up happening is they decided that they'd overbuffed him. So they adjusted Trickster and they did this off the PTB and then released him to the live game with absolutely no testing. And unfortunately, what we've ended up with is a Trickster who feels more like an M1 killer than a machine gun flurry of knives. I struggle to play him as he is now in a way where I can make his power feel meaningful and useful. And don't get me wrong, there'll be a massive skill issue in there, and I 100% say that. But when it comes to what they said they wanted to do with him and what they actually physically have done with him, it contradicts each other. They wanted to make him easier for people to play and be like a machine gun. He is neither of those things in the way it currently works. He is an M1 killer that gets barely any use out of his power and is just not fun to play at all. And this is where my concern comes in. We have 10 killers. We have, I'm just going to count them now because yeah, 8 perks. 10 killers and 8 perks that are going to be changed in the next 6 months. Now, each individual perk doesn't make a huge difference to the game if they change them. There are things that you can use that replace these perks. There's things you can do. And there's only 2, 3, maybe 4 perks that I see on a very regular basis on the ones that are there. But when you change an entire killer, and if they are changing each one of them in the same significant way they've tried to change Trickster, you are potentially opening a barrel of problems. Because if you change Onryo on the test server, and then those testing and the testing, she just feels too weak to what they've changed. Then they go, we'll change her, and then they release those changes to the live game without testing it. You're opening the door for a killer that's either absolutely broken and busted and no one can defeat her, or a killer that no one will ever want to play again. And conversely, you could also get bugs. I mean, I think a while ago we had a Wesker that when he used his ability at some point, he had to be kill switched because he went freaking invisible and started killing everybody. We had similar problems with Blast Mine, where you'd enter an animation, freeze, and then you'd go invisible in a sense. You weren't really invisible, your body was still there, but it was intangible, couldn't be touched, and then you were a ghost wandering around the map that could interact with stuff. So them changing things and not testing them is a problem. And what I propose is if you change a killer, you change a perk, and then you find that your changes are too strong or not strong enough, then don't release changes to the game that attempt to fix that. Change it, then put it back into the PTB. Test it multiple times in the PTB until you find the version that works. I'm going to say this flat out. I would never complain about something that works. If you release something that works as intended and has no problems, I will never complain. What I will complain about is something not working, something being absolutely broken, something being completely repulsively oppressive and absolutely a nightmare to go against because you didn't test it. And I don't think it's too much of an ask to say, put a killer, put a perk, put whatever changes you're doing at any given time into the PTB. Maybe test it for a week, didn't work. Change it, test it for another week, didn't work. Change it, test it for another week, feels great, release it to the game. Like, that's not too hard. And I can't imagine that setting up a test server to run isn't, like, it's too hard. I mean, they've got servers running constantly. So having the PTB up, it can't be doing that much for them. I honestly think that not testing a build after you've adjusted a killer that was broken and overpowered and then changing it a little bit and thinking, yeah, that's good enough. I don't think that is good enough. And if you look at the March and April timeline, you have 6 freaking killers in there. Now, I don't think they're going to be changing them in the same way that they're changing Trickster. But if you actually look at the changes that they made from the PTB Trickster to the release Trickster, they changed minor things like his throw rate and some add-ons. And then he was a completely useless killer in comparison. Minor changes make such a massive difference to these characters. And you changing them willy-nilly and without testing them is a very, very bad thing. And if you do it to 6 of them at the same time, that is, what, a fifth of the killers in the game that are then either unplayable or completely busted. And that's obviously not taken into consideration that maybe you get it spot on. I'm just saying the risk for you fucking it up is potentially disastrous for those killers, or disastrous for the survivors that have the misfortune of going against those then completely busted killers. So yeah, that's my rant today. Do you guys agree with me that if you're going to make changes, test it multiple times until you find the version in the build that works, that feels right, that is actually fun for everybody involved? Or do you think I'm overreacting? If you do agree, definitely leave a like, a comment, subscribe. Just post stuff down in the comment. And if you don't agree, do the same. I would heavily recommend that you guys tell me what you think, because I want to know. I want to know if I'm the only person that thinks that releasing something on the PTB, changing it, and then just releasing it to the game without testing it on the PTB game, it's madness. It's absolutely madness. What's the point of the public testing server if you're not going to test changes? It just boggles my mind that they would change it a second time and release it thinking it was going to be fine, because their first changes weren't fine, so why would the second changes be fine? Either way, that is me. Like, literally, I think I could rant all day about this and just keep going round in circles. So as I said before, comment, subscribe, like, all those things. Share this video if you want Behaviour to see it. All those kind of doodads. And we'll catch you in the next Dead by Daylight video. Thanks for watching, guys.